I see nothing but death and chaos. I would like to see the baby.
Hello everyone, welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy, and this is every Star Wars Easter egg in Season 1 of The Mandalorian. That's Horatio Sands, Saturday Night Live alumnus, playing the Bounty, and he says,
I was hoping to be free for Life Day.
This is the holiday celebrated across the Star Wars galaxy that was the center of the incredible Star Wars Holiday Special. In the flashbacks, you can also see Din Djarin's family wearing Life Day robes, meaning the Separatist droids attacked when the family was celebrating the holiday season. In Episode 1, a Kowakian monkey lizard is roasting on a spittle while its mother watches. This is the same species as Salacious Crumb, Jabba's court jester. There are numerous species from all across the galaxy in this show. This squid head is a Quarren. They come from Mon Calamari, the home planet of Akbar.
It's a trap!
And also where the currency is
Calamari flan.
This parking valet is a Kubaz, much like the Imperial snitch Gurinden. In fact, there are so many species in this show, let's just knock them out in a speed round. Rodian, Transdoshan, Jawas, Ugnaught, Twi'lek, Zabrax, Melbu, Keterian, Ardenian, and Rio here was actually voiced by Jon Favreau.
We'll never have a deeper sleep than curled up in a Wookiee's lap.
Deveronian, voiced by Clancy Brown, who also voiced Savage Opress. The tech crew also used many of the same visual effects and sounds from the original trilogy, like the sound of the failing engine in a ship.
It's taking us down! What are you doing?
Oh yeah? Watch this.
And of course, Mando freezes his bounty like we first saw in Empire Strikes Back, which I always thought was strange because Lando kind of makes it sound like that it's unusual to freeze someone in carbon.
We only use this facility for carbon freezing. You put him in there, it might kill him.
But now it's like common practice because Boba Fett pioneered it. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, because all hail the algorithm.
Old hail!
These guys are playing Sabacc, which Peli also plays in Chapter 5. Han famously won the Millennium Falcon in a game of Sabacc against Lando Calrissian, but it did take him 2 tries. In the Mandalorian's underground lair, we can see a mythosaur skull, the creature that's referenced here.
Your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
When humans arrived on Mandalore, they hunted and tamed these beasts and rode them around, so it became their insignia. You can also see it on this flag in Maz Kanata's castle. And this mythology is why Boba Fett first appeared riding a dinosaur in the Star Wars Holiday Special. And Mando has a rifle very similar to Boba Fett's that he uses to break Darth Vader's one rule.
No disintegrations.
Other weapons return as well, like a thermal detonator, vibroblades, an EE-3 carbine rifle, which is Boba Fett's signature weapon, and this E-Web heavy blaster is from The Empire Strikes Back. Mando points out that Fennec is using
An MK-modified rifle.
Now these heavy-duty assault rifles were used to guard galactic senators, and are modeled after the MK-14 sniper rifle, which is used by Navy SEALs. And Quill and Mando use communicators that we first saw in A New Hope, but have since appeared in the Clone Wars and Rebels. The show also repeats a few story beats from the original trilogy. Mando busts a blurg, which, now that I've said it out loud, sounds really dirty. This is basically a monster that's a mouth with feet that we first saw in the TV movie Ewoks Battle for Endor, but later appeared in the Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars. This blurg in particular should look familiar. That's your mom. The Jawa Sandcrawler has appeared in New Hope and Attack of the Clones. Speaking of Attack of the Clones, this doctor wears the same Kaminoan patch as the clones, leading to speculation that the child might be a clone of Yoda. The child's force healing abilities have been seen in numerous video games and, of course, The Rise of Skywalker.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
And this is the same interrogation droid from A New Hope, plus Werner Herzog wears the Imperial insignia around his neck. And now let's do a droid speed round. IG Assassin Droid, TT-8L Gatekeeper Droid, a Gonk Droid, Medical Droid, Super Battle Droids, Mouse Droid, R5 units tow the wagons that pull Mando and Baby Yoda, and an EV Droid, which was voiced by Mark Hamill.
I am afraid that does not improve your situation.
And finally, this little guy in the Mos Eisley Cantina is actually R5-D4, the exact same droid with the bad motivator from A New Hope. Like seriously, if they just had one of those droids, then Dave Filoni said that should just be R5-D4 because he never got to leave Tatooine. It's awesome. Now this safe/ice cream maker that Werner Herzog gives Mando is a deep cut. to a background character from The Empire Strikes Back named Wilro Hood. He actually has his own action figure and a huge fan following. Now this Mandalorian haystack is named Paz Vizsla, a member of Clan Vizsla. During the Clone Wars, a faction of the Mandalorians were led by Pre Vizsla, who was voiced by Jon Favreau, creator of The Mandalorian.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi.
Vizsla was the leader of Death Watch, the group that saved young Din from the super battle droids. This slur
Chuta, Mando.
was used against 3PO in Cloud City.
To see a familiar face. Chuta. How rude.
Greef talks about Spice, referencing the spice mines of Kessel that we saw in Solo and Clone Wars and were name dropped in A New Hope.
We'll be sent to the spice mines of Kessel or smashed into who knows what.
Now this rod looks oddly familiar, as if it could be used to, say, stop a trash compactor. Greef says,
Because I'm your only hope.
which brings us back to the series' original call to adventure.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
And he also says,
And now that the scum and villainy have been washed away,
referencing this.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Mando calls Baby Yoda,
you little womp rat.
which Luke used to bullseye in his T-16 back home.
I used to bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home.
My God, you shoot small animals for fun? That's the first indicator of a serial killer, you freak.
We also see a Lothcat from Star Wars Rebels. This AT-ST was first seen at the Battle of Hoth, but were more prominent, of course, in the Battle of Endor. This ship is a modified Z-95 Headhunter. Later, Mando and the other bounty hunter ride Corellian swoop bikes. Now, Corellia, of course, is Han Solo's home planet, and the swoop bikes were first seen on Star Wars Rebels. In the final episode, the Scout Troopers ride the speeder bikes that we saw in Return of the Jedi. Also in that episode, this troop transport is actually based off the Kenner action figure carrier from 1978.
It's the Star Wars Imperial Troop Transporter that you put together. Batteries not included.
And if you're wondering where all of these stormtroopers came from, they're actually members of the real-life 501st. That's a group of fans who are so dedicated they've made their own stormtrooper armor, and they travel around the world appearing in various functions like charities and Lucasfilm events. On Tatooine, they fly past the same ridge as in A New Hope and land in the same docking port. The ship is serviced by the pit droids from The Phantom Menace. Peli then says,
"Oh, you got a lot of carbon scoring building up top."
Which is a direct reference to A New Hope.
Hear a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
She also calls the child a
womp rat.
Peli pays Mando in Imperial credits, and later we see a different currency used by Toro, a New Republic coin. The symbol of the New Republic is this phoenix, which was also the symbol of the Rebel Alliance. There are lots of cameos in the show too. This voice,
This is Mos Eisley Tower. We're tracking you.
is Steve Blum, who voiced Zeb on Star Wars Rebels. And this guy, dressed as a fleet trooper from New Hope, is played by Matt Lanter, who voices Anakin in the Clone Wars. And the X-Wing pilots are all directors of this series, and writer, visionary, Dreamweaver plus actor Taika Waititi voices IG-11. Peli also mentions,
I don't know, Dragon to Beggar's Canyon.
which is where Luke learned to fly. Toro is just chilling in Han Solo's booth, probably because he emulates Han Solo. He wants to be like the famous smuggler, and he even name drops his home planet.
What'd you expect? Like Corellia.
The two of them travel to the Dune Sea, where old Ben Kenobi used to live.
Old Ben lives out beyond the Dune Sea. He's kind of a strange old hermit.
And they come across a dewback, the mode of transportation for the Sand Troopers in A New Hope. Finnick has
The high ground.
which is a callback to this.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
Later, she mentions going to Mos Espa,
Look, there's still time to make my rendezvous in Mos Espa.
the Tatooine city featured in The Phantom Menace. Speaking of The Phantom Menace, in Chapter 6, Bill Burr drops a sick burn on the Gungans.
Maybe he's a Gungan. Is that why you so don't want to show your face?
And this
So this is a Mandalorian. I thought they'd be bigger.
is a riff on this line.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Burr also mentions
It's like a Canto Bite slot machine.
that BB-8 had a short stint as one of these slot machines. And by the way, the mocap of that little alien was performed by Mark Hamill. Zeon is played by Natalia Tina, who also played Tonks from Harry Potter and Osha in Game of Thrones. She mentions,
Asking about the job on Alzok 3.
this frozen planet has been mentioned in several Star Wars video games and novels. The radar dish on top of the Falcon looks just like the one that Han replaced on the Millennium Falcon after the Battle of Endor. And the hatch opening is also just like the Millennium Falcon's hatch that we see in The Empire Strikes Back. And this prisoner is an Imperial officer. Following the defeat of the Empire, the New Republic cut 90% of their military, which is why the ship is run by droids. And there are lots of cool Easter eggs in the final episode. These are Death Troopers like we first saw in Rogue One, and the Flame Trooper is from Jedi Fallen Order. Moff Gideon wields the Darksaber, a special lightsaber originally used by the only Mandalorian Jedi. So it originally belonged to a Force-sensitive Mandalorian, and now it's being used against one. Gideon references
The Siege of Mandalore,
which can be seen in the final season of the Clone Wars. And Moff Gideon's chest piece is the same Imperial design used to create Darth Vader's armor. We also learned that former Alliance shock trooper Cara Dune is from Alderaan, which explains her hatred of the Empire and the rebel tattoo on her face. She mentions
You're a mind flayer,
which is a villain from D&D, Stranger Things, and probably was this tentacle porn monster in Rogue One. Now, Mando remembers that Moff Gideon is part of the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, a law enforcement and security branch of the Empire. Rogue One went up against them while stealing the Death Star plans from Scarif. IG-11 heals Mando with Bacta, the same liquid used to nurse Luke Skywalker back to health. And finally, Mando levels up and earns a Rising Phoenix jetpack, as we've seen Fett's, Jango, and Boba use in the past. Well everyone, that's all the Mandalorian Star Wars Easter eggs and connections to the greater Star Wars saga. But hey, if I missed any, let me know in the comments. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.